Welcome to SVG-TV News for Monday, May 23rd, 2022. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. With cases of monkeypox growing day by day in several overseas territories, concerns are being expressed here about the possibility of the virus entering SVG. Infectious disease specialist Dr. SVG-TV told SVG-TV News that although it is an emerging public health threat, there is no great need to worry at this time.
We think so, but we've seen how things have changed. We know that travel is expansive these days, even with the pandemic. We've seen things move from place to place. So while it's unlikely, it's not impossible. If we look at some statistics from May, the 21st of May, Australia, well, there are currently 92 laboratory confirmed cases as of 21st of May. And because some of the places where these confirmed cases are coming from, the US only has about less than 5. The UK has quite a few, 21, about 30 cases or so. So we have guests coming from these places, and they would have gotten it from perhaps traveling to some, I don't want to say remote country, because we don't want to consider anybody's country as remote, but they were travelers back to these countries. And of course, we know everyone interacts. We are now in a global village, so nothing is impossible, but it's unlikely.
Dr. Davies said that the continuation of the protocols established for the COVID-19 pandemic would act as a precautionary measure for all citizens. The infectious disease specialist further detailed a number of symptoms related to the virus, which could be transmitted through sexual intercourse.
Because of the way this pox virus, because it's a pox virus, is spread, it's through contact, and it's also by respiratory droplets. So it's very similar to the way that COVID-19 spreads. So everything that we've been doing for COVID, if we've been maintaining those are the precautions. So with our hand washing and our cleaning of surfaces and our mask wearing, we really shouldn't see a big blow up of the pox virus, of the monkey virus.
PAHO and CAFRA have been asked to increase regional testing for monkeypox. The outbreak in at least 15 nations outside Africa has taken scientists by surprise. Belgium became the first country to announce a 3-week quarantine for infected persons on Friday. And the number of active COVID-19 cases in the country is now at 129, with 8 persons hospitalized. In the last update provided by the Ministry of Health on Sunday, May 22nd, 5 new PCR and 3 new rapid antigen cases were recorded. Of the 8 persons hospitalized, 6 are unvaccinated, 1 fully vaccinated, and 1 partially vaccinated. 11 recoveries were noted in the report on Sunday. To date, 8,391 recoveries have been recorded and 106 persons have died from the viral illness. 70,851 vaccines have been administered here thus far. In other news, a farewell reception was held on Friday evening for visiting Indian president who was on a 3-day state visit to the island. The reception held at La View saw the exchange of gifts between President Ram Nath Kovind and Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, who said he is full of optimism for the future relations between India and SVG.
I want you to tell the word across the vast land of India and across its nearly 1.4 billion people that in the Caribbean, in the West Indies, the place where Columbus thought that he was arriving to some islands outside of India. That's why we are called the West Indies. That there is a land, beautiful, brimful with people of talent, and despite all the challenges and all the changing scenes of time, and all the vicissitudes of nature. We are here striving and moving forward, upward, to lift St. Vincent and the Grenadines higher. And in that quest, we know we have a good friend in India, and we partner bilaterally and multilaterally.
In his brief address to the gathering, President Kovin expressed gratitude to the government and people of SVG for the warm welcome and hospitality shown to him and his delegation for the 4-day visit, and said he too is also hopeful for the strengthening of relations between India and SVG.
We are deeply touched by the friendship and the kindness that we have witnessed. As we take back home the sweet memories of the exceptional beauty of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the love of people here, I wish the people of this beautiful country the best health and happiness of the people of SVG, the peace, progress and prosperity of the people of SVG, and the abiding friendship and cooperation between India and SVG. I am confident that my visit to this beautiful country has opened a new chapter in our bilateral relations. As Mr. Prime Minister observed, it is certainly we believe in optimism, and we are quite hopeful that this will bring a lot of fruitful journey of development. Thank you very much.
Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has urged fellow member states of CARICOM not to attend the upcoming 9th Summit of the Americas in Los Angeles unless Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua are invited. Speaking on the WeFM Issues at Hand program on Sunday, PM Gonsalves said that the issue of attending the summit remains a contentious one among CARICOM leaders. He said the summit should be inclusive rather than excluding countries.
We will see how things pan out. One thing for sure, though, I've made it plain that you can't properly have a CARICOM statement saying that CARICOM governments go in when one or more governments don't want to go. If even a majority may want to go. I don't know yet, because what you can have is that some governments either determined to go or inclined to go. And some may not go, some may well say, well, listen, I'm not going at the level of heads. I may send a foreign minister or somebody else. Mexico, for instance, has made it plain that it is not going at the level of president.
The Joe Biden administration announced last week that it will expand flights to Cuba and end restrictions on how much money immigrants can send to Cuba, a remnant of Trump's hardline Cuba policy. It said it will ease sanctions on Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro if he commits to dialogue with U.S.-backed opposition leader Juan Guaido. PM Gonsalves pointed out that the U.S. has been sending emissaries and keeping in contact with heads of government, seeking to get them to attend the Summit of the Americas, even if Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua are not invited. According to PM Gonsalves, why are some still debating old battles from the mid-20th century while there are so many challenges in the Western Hemisphere?
We'll send the foreign minister. I think Bolivia has said they're not going at all. I believe that Honduras has indicated that they're not going. There are some other countries saying, we want you to invite Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, but we will come nevertheless if you don't invite them. We must not forget that in 2015, Cuba was invited to Panama. I was there. In 2017, under Trump, there was a meeting of the summit in Peru. At that time, remember the Peruvian government was saying that they're not, remember there was a Peru group in relation to Venezuela, and they said they weren't inviting the Bolivarian Republic, and Cuba sent someone at the foreign minister level. Why are we so consumed about all these battles, some old battles from the 20th century? There's so many challenges to talk about in our hemisphere. Want to exclude people? How does that make sense?
The Prime Minister said that presidential or congressional politics in the U.S. should not imprison the foreign policy of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, CARICOM, or even the Americas.
CARICOM is not a unitary state, nor is it a federal government. CARICOM has 4 pillars of cooperation: trade and economic, functional in education, health and the like, security, and foreign policy. And the provisions in relation to foreign policy. And we do good work in all of these areas. But sometimes you can't find a harmony or a unity on this matter, on the foreign policy, on some foreign policy issues, and indeed on some other issues, despite the fact that good work is done within the 4 walls of the treaty, the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas. And in the case of foreign policy, it speaks to the issue of coordinating foreign policy in all the practical circumstances. Because at the end of the day, CARICOM is a community of individual sovereign states. We must understand what it is about by treaty. Though we try to get agreement on matters of trade, we have agreement because we have established these in each of our domestic jurisdictions.
The Summit of the Americas is a meeting of leaders of countries in the Organization of American States. Pastor Cecil Richards said the problem with violence against women in SVG is not an individual thing, but a system. Speaking at a recent news conference hosted by the National Council of Women, Pastor Richards said women in SVG are being positioned for violation and exploitation.
Systemic in the entertainment industry, that it is in vogue for the denuding of the status of woman, to see her as rump, to see her as meat, to see her as object, that all she is good for to walk up, shake up, push back your bumper. And all this does, it denudes, it erodes, it eats out of the status of women. And we are not talking just men, we're talking young boys under 13 years of age who are hearing this and are forming in their formative years, are forming a concept of who women are. We're talking about teenagers, 15 and 16, young men who are seeing the principal role as promoted in our system. The principal role of women is to wind down. I can go through the lyrics of just about all of the songs. I could predict the ones that are coming next year. There's very little variation and creativity. It's the same.
Pastor Richards is also of the opinion that locking up and chastising perpetrators of domestic violence will not solve the problem.
Vitriol and our anger is against the man or the guy or whatever who beats on a woman and kills a woman. And that's misdirected anger. We feel like, okay, there's some measure of catharsis if we lock away someone. But the problem is not the individual. The problem is a society that is failing. And as long as we don't address that, we will perpetuate this society, in fact, grow a society that fails to appreciate the value of women. Individualize that which is systemic. And if we keep individualizing that which is systemic, we're not going to solve this. Our problem with women in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is not merely some guy who goes wacko and beats on a woman or shoots a woman or stabs a woman. That's not our problem. And then we think, okay, we solve it by locking him up. If a man has sexual relation with a child, castrate him. Lock him away and throw away the key, and we feel somehow that this is a solve for society. That if we do something to the individual perpetrator of these atrocities, that we are fixing the situation. And as long as we continue down that erroneous road, we fix nothing.
And pastor of the House of Prayer Ministry, Fountain, Dennisford Foster, is encouraging the people of SVG to turn from violence and turn to God. In an interview with SVGTV News, Pastor Foster condemns all acts of violence in the society.
Fellas, you're out there, we know that there is a breakdown in moral values in our nation. A lot of parents have neglected to raise their children the way God wants us to raise them, and so they are doing their own thing. But there is a way that seemeth right unto a man, but at the end thereof there is destruction. We cannot be abusive to our women. Women are our mothers, they are our sisters, they are our grandmothers, they are our wives. We must love them, we must cherish them, we must take care of them. Recently we have heard about a murder of a 17-year-old schoolgirl. What could such a young person do to deserve this? We have to stop it. And the church takes a very strong stand against all sorts of violence. We condemn it, and we pray that, our nation on a whole will turn to God in these perilous times. We know that the end is near. And so people must look up, people must turn to Jesus. You won't find the answer out there. You won't find it in guns, in knives. You won't find it in drugs, but you will find the answer in Jesus.
Bishop Garrett Salmon from Toronto, Canada, said violence is on the rise worldwide and urged leaders to seek God guidance to deal with the problem.
In my own country, we experience the same. But the answer is not men taking heed from doing whatever is happening, but it's because of sin. So that righteousness will exalt the nation and sin will become a reproach. So the answer we have to look for is in God. Only God has the answers. And when we have a country or any nation that there is no infrastructure that is set up to assist young men at large, these are some of the things that will happen. We all know about the enemy after the soul of man comes to kill, steal, and destroy. So as a government, the government have to see what is happening within that country and know that, listen, there must be a plan to assist not only men, not only women, but each and every individual of such country. So I appeal to every level of government. I appeal to the churches also. Go where these men are. Show them love. They need to be loved. We don't know what are their problems, but the problems are bigger than us, and only God has the answer.
The award and prize-giving ceremony for the World Creativity and Innovation Day nationwide literary arts competition, which was hosted by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, was held today. At the ceremony, Permanent Secretary of Foreign Affairs Sandy Peters-Phillips expressed to the competitors that their submissions were not only relevant for the local space, but regionally and internationally.
This morning, because our esteemed judges have identified your work as exemplary, and we will reward you for your efforts. We will reward you because you have contributed to archiving the history of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. If the trend analysis is correct, most of us in this room may not be around for another explosive eruption of the La Soufrière volcano. However, what we will ensure is that your work is recorded in an anthology, and that anthology will be shared with each of you individually, with your schools, with local libraries, and across our mission.
Government Senator Kiesel Peters reminded the competitors that creativity is a mindset and that the confidence that comes from it encourages persons to look at problems as opportunities.
That the eruptions of the La Soufrière volcano have taught us many things. Therefore, it was fitting that to mark the World Creativity and Innovation Day on 21st April this year, Ambassadors Bowman, Gilchrist, and King proposed that the Foreign Ministry, as part of its public diplomacy program, host a nationwide literary arts competition. You have been creative in your submissions. Creativity is a mindset, a skill, and an invaluable tool. Or we can say that it is a framework for approaching problems. It consists of brainstorming, generating new ideas, seeking novelty, deferring judgment, and also building other ideas. It brings creative confidence and provides an ability to look at problems as opportunities. Therefore, in the course of our national development, we have to be open to fresh perspectives to allow new solutions to emerge which can advance our lives and modus operandi through improving efficacy and efficiency at every level.